Hi, thank you for watching my channel today. My name's Sarah and my channel is called Your Tree Shelf. The light isn't the best today, but I've been at work and I haven't had a chance to film in the daytime. So I'm filming now when it's kind of just getting a bit like dusk. So I thought I'd do a video today about my favourite audiobooks. I've listened to audiobooks ever since I can remember, since I was probably about 8-9 years old. I used to get them from the library on tape, and now I listen to them on Audible. So I'm just going to talk about my favourite ones that I've had from Audible. I've got 14 on my list, so if this is getting too long, I'll split it into 2 separate videos. So the first one on my list is My Animals and Other Family by Claire Balding, which is narrated by Claire Balding as well. She is an English journalist and presenter, and she is from a very wealthy, well-to-do family, and they are very centred around the animals, the dogs and the horses in their family, and she tells her autobiography or her memoir through the lives of the animals that have interacted with her family over the time, and it's fantastic. I really loved it, and I love that she narrates it as well. The second one is The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling. So this is the first adult fiction book that she did, and this centres around a village called Pagford, where one of the members of the parish council dies, and they have to have a replacement for him, and this basically involves lots of people in the village, and you hear about their stories and how they interact with each other. And there's kind of all different sort of secrets going on in different families, and the faces they present to the public, and you know, their colleagues and neighbours and friends are kind of very different sometimes to what goes on behind closed doors. And it also looks at how sort of poverty impacts on a community as well. The third one is Life After Life by Kate Atkinson, which is read by Fenella Woolgar. I absolutely loved this book, and I loved the narrator. So this is about a girl, well, you follow the life of Ursula through many lifetimes. She dies at several points in the story, and then it rewinds and goes back a step, and we follow her life through the course of many lifetimes. And I have got the not a sequel but a book which is called A God in Ruins, which is about her brother Teddy, and I really want to listen to Life After Life again and then read A God in Ruins, because I just really loved it. It's a fantastic book. Next is Wild by Cheryl Strayed, which is read by Lauren Lefkow. Wild is a memoir of Cheryl Strayed, which has been made now into a film with Reese Witherspoon, and it's her memoir of walking the Pacific Crest Trail to deal with the grief that she has over the death of her mother many years previously. And it talks about her life, and it also has lots of lovely nature writing, and talks about the walks that she's going through, and the people she meets on the way, and all the hard times and the hunger and sometimes danger that she feels, and her interaction with nature. And she's such a wonderful writer, and the narrator is brilliant as well. That's not the only Cheryl Strayed on my list. I've also got Tiny Beautiful Things, which she narrates herself. So she used to do an advice column called Dear Sugar, and people would write in with their dilemmas, and she would write back in a magazine. Can't remember now what the magazine was. And basically this is a collection of the letters into Sugar and her replies, and the advice she gives is worded poetically and beautifully, and very wise, and it's just a joy to hear how she replies to the people and how she uses her own experience in life to help them with their difficult times, and it's fantastic. The next one, number 6, is The Horseboy by Rupert Isaacson, and he narrates it himself. This is another non-fiction book. Rupert Isaacson has a son who has autism, quite severe autism, and him and his wife take their son on a journey to Mongolia to try and help him with his difficulties secondary to the autism and the difficulties it brings on the whole family. And they go through some like shamanic rituals, and they meet different healers, and it's like absolutely fascinating to see how he can be helped, basically. The next one on the list is The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton, which is also narrated by Jessie Burton. I really like it when the author narrates it, because you kind of really get a sense of how they wanted it to be done. So this follows Petronella in Holland in the 1600s, something like that, as she moves to the house of Johannes Brandt, who is her new husband, and Johannes lives with his sister Maren and some servants, and it's about how Petronella's life is changed as she moves in with this kind of family with lots of secrets, and how she's trying to fit in, and how a miniaturist keeps on producing little miniatures of them and their lives, and how could she possibly know the things that are being produced. The next one is Go Set A Watchman by Harper Lee, which is narrated by Reese Witherspoon. This is, it was written before To Kill a Mockingbird, but it's following the characters about 20 years later. To Kill a Mockingbird is one of my favourite books of all time, and this follows Scout and Atticus and their family 20 years down the line. Reese Witherspoon, I love her anyway, and she does a fantastic job of narrating the audiobook and really brings it to life, and I enjoyed it immensely. I'm sure lots of people have already read that one. The next one is another non-fiction book, which is Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. So I'm a big fan of Elizabeth Gilbert's work, and she narrates Big Magic. She does a great job. This is basically about creativity and about how to let creativity flourish in us, and finding the magic of it, and how we can recognizing like the calling to do certain things in our life, and then what she calls like the hero's journey, kind of carrying out those things and helping us remove obstacles which get in our way. So it's absolutely fantastic, and I know that I'm going to definitely listen to that one again. The next one I've chosen is A Place Called Winter by Patrick Gale. He also narrates this audiobook. This is one of my favourite books of all time. He's one of my favourite writers. This follows a this follows a man called Harry Kane, who has to leave his life in England with his family and go and start again in Canada, where he works on a homestead, has to work the land and basically start from scratch, and he's got absolutely no idea what he's doing. And it's about how his life interacts with some other people's lives in Canada. It's got a love story through the centre of the novel, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Like, I think about the characters still. I cared about them so much. I really got engrossed in the plot, and I won't forget it. It's just such a wonderful book, and I've bought lots of Patrick Gale's books since then just because I loved it so much. The last few, so we have Nora Webster by Colm Toibin, narrated by Fiona Shaw. This was perfect for audio because it really recreated the atmosphere and the kind of claustrophobic life that Nora Webster and her two sons lead after Nora's husband Morris dies. And you really sort of feel what it's like to be in that kind of Irish community where people talk about each other and they know each other's business and they judge each other and the decisions that they make and their lives together. And the narrator totally brought it to life for me, and it was a fantastic book. And again, I really enjoy Colm Toibin's work. So the last few that I chose, we're doing okay for time, so I'm whizzing through them. So I've got Mariana by Susanna Kearsley, narrated by Carolyn Bonnyman. This is one of my books in my Books of the Year so far videos, so I've talked about this one in that video, and I've also wrapped it up. This is about Mariana, or Juliet, who buys a house which she's very much drawn to, and then she starts to slip back in time to the 1600s when she used to live there in a previous life as a girl called Mariana, and it goes from present day to back in the 1600s, and how her life and her previous life weave sort of through time together, because some of the characters that, or some of the other people that she's with in this lifetime were also with her in the previous lifetime, and she has to kind of make connections, work out what on earth is going on. And again, there's a really beautiful love story which weaves through the middle of the book, and it was fantastic. The last two, I've got Apple Tree Yard by Louise Doughty, narrated by Juliet Stevenson. Absolutely fantastic. So this is like a suspenseful thriller about a woman called Yvonne Carmichael, who is an academic at the university, and she is happily married. She's got 2 grown-up children, and one day she has a completely unexpected affair with a man that she's just met, and this absolutely turns her world upside down for lots of reasons, and it really keeps you on the edge of your seat. But it also covers some very important issues like violence against women, and it's quite hard to listen to at times, but it covers some really important issues as well as being very gripping and very intense, and I thought it was fantastic, and I really need to read some more of her books. And the very last one that I've chosen is An Innocent Traitor by Alison Weir, narrated by Patience Tomlinson. This is a historical fiction, fictionalised account of Lady Jane Grey from the moment she was born up until her execution. And it's heartbreaking, shocking. It makes you very sad, very angry. You're completely compelled and drawn into the story. It's, you know, I like learning about history and about our sort of British heritage and the scheming and stuff that goes on. People would literally sell their own family off to sort of gain favour with the court and gain themselves some power and privilege. So it's really shocking but also amazing, and all of these books have had fantastic narrators. I've found in the past books which I thought I'd like and I haven't, and I don't know if it's because I didn't get on with the narrator and whether if I'd read it I would have enjoyed it a lot more. So these ones are ones that I not only loved the book but I loved the narrator as well, whether it was the author or another person who narrated it. And so I encourage anyone to go and check out all of those. If anybody has read them or listened to them, please let me know what you thought. And if you've got some audiobooks that you absolutely love, then do tell me. And I've just realised I've forgotten one. One last one called Glitter and Glue by Kelly Corrigan, which is a memoir, again, quite like non-fictional, an audiobook. And it's narrated by Kelly. And it's the story of her time going from America over to Australia, pretty sure Australia, it's been a while, as an au pair for 2 children whose mum has died, and how her life is turned upside down as she goes and au pairs for the children, and she has to try and deal at a very young age with their grief and things. And her mum is she's quite strict, she's utterly hilarious, the things she comes out with. And because Kelly narrates the book, then she really kind of captures the essence of her family and the people that she was working for, because obviously she knows them in real life. So that's very funny, quite short and very touching at the same time. So that really is it this time. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know of any audiobooks that you love that you'd like to recommend, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.